Hey there, it's Kesha. Welcome and welcome back. We are on chapter 37 and beyond in our reading of the Aquarian Gospel. And so let us go ahead and take a moment to center in. Just a deep breath in, feeling comfortable in our seat. Deep breath out. Deep breath in, pick up all the stress and aches and pains in your body, in your mind. Pick them up on the in-breath and release them on the out-breath. Do one more just to make sure we've gotten everything. And turn your attention now to your inner flame. And notice how it's been quickened during this reading of the Aquarian Gospel. Feel yourself being fortified and enlivened. Feel your purity and clarity of purpose from the inside out. Feel yourself a radiant being of light. And when you're ready, gently open your eyes. Here we are. Chapter 37. So where have we been so far? Okay, so we have arrived, we've arrived in Tibet, and we are with the greatest sage of the Far East, Mingsi. A caravan of merchantmen were journeying through the Kashmir Vale as Jesus passed that way, and they were going to Lahore, a city of the hand, the five-stream hand. The merchantmen had heard the prophet speak, had seen his mighty works in Leh, and they were glad to see him again once more. And when they knew that he was going to Lahore and then across the Sind, through Persia and the far west, and that he had no beast on which to ride, they freely gave to him a noble Bactrian beast, well saddled and equipped, and Jesus journeyed with the caravan. And when he reached Lahore, Ajanin and some other Brahmic priest received him with delight. Ajanin was the priest who came to Jesus in the nighttime in Benares many months before and heard his words of truth. And Jesus was Ajanin's guest. He taught Ajanin many things, revealed to him the secrets of the healing art. He taught him how he could control the spirits of the air, the fire, the water, and the earth. And he explained to them the secret doctrine of forgiveness and the blotting out of sins. One day, Ajanin sat with Jesus in the temple porch. A band of wandering singers and musicians paused before the court to sing and play. Their music was most rich and delicate, and Jesus said, "Among the high-bred people of the land, we hear no sweeter music than these uncouth children of the wilderness bring here to us. From whence this talent and this power? In one short life, they surely could not gain such grace of voice, such knowledge of the laws of harmony and tone. Men call them prodigies. There are no prodigies. All things result from natural law. These people are not young. 1,000 years would not suffice to give them such divine expressiveness and such purity of voice and touch. 10,000 years ago, these people mastered harmony. In days of old, they trod the busy thoroughfares of life and caught the melody of birds and played on the harps of perfect form. And they have come again to learn still another lesson from the varied notes of manifests. These wandering people form a part of heaven's orchestra, and in the land of perfect things, the very angels will delight to hear them play and sing." And Jesus taught the common people of Lahore. He healed their sick and showed them the way to rise to better things by helpfulness. He said, "We are not rich by what we get and hold. The only things we keep are those we give away. If you would live the perfect life, Give forth your life in service for your kind, and for the forms of life that men esteem the lower forms of life. But Jesus could not tarry longer in Lahore. He bade the priests and other friends farewell, and then he took his camel and went on his way toward the Sind. 24 years of age was Jesus when he entered Persia on his homeward way. In many a hamlet, town, and neighborhood, he paused a while and taught and healed. The priests and ruling classes did not welcome him, because he censured them for cruelty to those of low estate. The common people followed him in throngs. At times the chiefs made bold to try to hinder him, forbidding him to teach or heal the sick. But he regarded not their angry threats. He taught and he healed the sick. In time he reached Persepolis, the city where the kings of Persia were entombed, the city of the learned Magi, Hor and Lund and Mer, the 3 wise men, who 24 years before had seen the star of promise rise above Jerusalem, and who had journeyed to the west to find the newborn king, and were the first to honor Jesus as the master of the age, and gave him gifts of gold, gumthis, and myrrh. These Magi knew, by ways that masters always know, when Jesus neared Persepolis, and then they girt themselves and went to meet him on the way. When they met, a light much brighter than the light of day surrounded them, and men who saw the four stand in the way declared they were transfigured, seeming more like gods than men. Now Hor and Lund were aged men, and Jesus placed them on his beast to ride into Persepolis, while he and Mer led on the way. And when they reached the Magi's home, they all rejoiced. And Jesus told the thrilling story of his life, and Hor and Lund and Mer spoke not. They only looked to heaven, and in their hearts praised God. 3 wise men from the north were in Persepolis, and they were Casper, Zara, and Malzone. And Casper was the wisest master of the Magian land. These 3 were at the home of Hor and Lund and Mer when Jesus came. For 7 days these 7 men spoke not. They sat in silence in the council hall in close communion with the silent brotherhood. They sought for light, for revelation, and for power. The laws and the precepts of the coming age required all the wisdom of the masters of the world. A feast in honor of the Magian god was being held, and many men were gathered in Persepolis. And on the great day of the feast, the ruling Magian master said, "Within these sacred walls is liberty. Whoever wills to speak may speak." And Jesus, standing in the midst of the people, said, "My brothers, sisters, children of our Father God, most blessed are you among the sons of men today, because you have such just conceptions of the Holy One and man. Your purity in worship and in life is pleasing unto God, and to your master, Zarathustra, praise is due. Well say you all, there is one God from whose great being there came the 7 spirits that created heaven and earth, and manifest unto the sons of men are those great spirits in the sun and the moon and the stars. But in your sacred books we have read that 2 among these 7 are of superior strength, that one of these created all the good, the other one created all that evil is. I pray you, honored masters, tell me how the evil can be born of that which is all good." The Magus rose and said, "If you will answer me, your problem will be solved. We all do recognize the fact that evil is. Whatever is must have a cause. If God, the one, made not this evil, then where is the God who did?" And Jesus said, "Whatever God, the one, has made is good. And like the great first cause, the 7 spirits are all good. And everything that comes from their creative hands is good. Now, all created things have colors, tones, and forms of their own. But certain tones, though good and pure themselves, when mixed, produce in harmonies discordant tones. And certain things, though good and pure, when mixed, produce discordant things, yea, poisonous things, that men call evil things. So evil is the inharmonious blending of the colors, tones, or forms of good. Now man is not all wise, and yet has will his own. He has the power, and he uses it to mix God's good things in a multitude of ways. And every day he makes discordant sounds and evil things. And every tone and form, be it of good or ill, becomes a living thing, a demon, sprite, or spirit of the good or vicious kind. Man makes his devil thus, and then becomes afraid of him and flees. His devil is emboldened, follows him away, and casts him into torturing fires. The devil and the burning fires are both the works of man, and none can put the fires out and dissipate the evil one, but man who made them both. Then Jesus stood aside, and not a Magi answered him. And he departed from the throng and went into a secret place to pray. I think we're going to stop there, right? Well, there's only 2 chapters left in this section. Let's go ahead and just take it all. Now, in the early morning, Jesus came to teach and heal. A light not comprehended shone about, as though some mighty spirit overshadowed him. A Magi noted this and asked him privately to tell from whence his wisdom came and what the meaning of the light. And Jesus said, "There is a silence where the soul may meet its God, and there the fount of wisdom is. And all who enter are immersed in light and filled with wisdom, love, and power." The Magi said, "Tell me about this silence and the light, that I may go and there abide." And Jesus said, "The silence is not circumscribed. It is not a place closed within wall or rocky steps, nor guarded by the sword of man. Men carry with them all the time the secret place where they may meet their God. It matters not where men abide, on mountaintop, in deepest vale, in marts of trade, or in the quiet home. They may at once, at any time, fling wide the door and find the silence, find the house of God. It is within the soul. One may not be so much disturbed by noise of business and the words and the thoughts of men if he goes all alone into the valley or the mountain pass. And when life's heavy load is pressing hard, it is far better to go out and seek a quiet place to pray and meditate. The silence is the kingdom of the soul, which is not seen by human eyes. When in the silence, phantom forms may flit before the mind, but they are all subservient to the will. The master soul may speak, and they are gone. If you would find this silence of the soul, you must yourself prepare the way. None but the pure in heart may enter here. And you must lay aside all tenseness of the mind, all business cares, all fears, all doubts, and troubled thoughts. Your human will must be absorbed by the divine. Then you will come into the consciousness of holiness. You are within the holy place, and you will see upon a living shrine the candle of the Lord aflame. And when you see it burning there, look deep within the temple of your brain, and you will see it all aglow. In every part, from head to foot, are candles all in place, just waiting to be lighted by the flaming torch of love. And when you see the candles all aflame, just look and you will see, with eyes of soul, the waters of the fount of wisdom rushing on, and you may drink and there abide. And then the curtains part, and you are in the holiest of all, where rests the ark of God, whose covering is the mercy seat. Fear not to lift the sacred board. The tables of the law are in the ark concealed. Take them and read them well, for they contain all precepts and commands that men will ever need. And in the ark, the magic wand of prophecy lies waiting for your hand. It is the key to all hidden meanings of the present, future, past. And then, behold the manna there, the hidden bread of life, and he who eats it shall never die. The cherubim have guarded well for every soul this treasure box, and whosoever may enter in and find his own. Now Caspar heard the Hebrew master speak, and he exclaimed, "Behold, the wisdom of the gods has come to men." And Jesus went his way, and in the sacred groves of Cyrus, where the multitudes were met, he taught and healed the sick. A flowing spring that people called the Healing Fount was near Persepolis. And all the people taught that at a certain time of year their deity came down and gave a virtue to the waters of the fount, and that the sick who would plunge into the fount and wash would be made whole. About the fount a multitude of people were in waiting for the Holy One to come and potentize the waters of the fount. The blind, the lame, the deaf, the dumb, and those obsessed were there. And Jesus, standing in the midst of them, exclaimed, "Behold the spring of life! These waters that will fail are honored as the special blessing of your God. From whence do healing virtues come? Why is your God so partial with his gifts? Why does he bless this spring today and then tomorrow take his blessings all away? A deity of power could fill these waters full of healing virtue every day. Hear me, you sick, disconsolate. The virtue of this fount is not a special gift of God. Faith is the healing power of every drop of all the waters of this spring. He who believes with all his heart that he will be made whole by washing in this fount will be made whole when he has washed. And he may wash at any time. Let everyone who has this faith in God and in himself plunge these waters now and wash. And many of the people plunged into the crystal fount, and they were healed. And then there was a rush, for all the people were inspired with faith, and each one strove to be among the first to wash, lest all the virtue be absorbed. And Jesus saw a little child, weak, faint, and helpless, sitting all alone beyond the surging crowd, and there was none to help her to the fount. And Jesus said, "My little one, why do you sit and wait? Why not arise and hasten to the fount and wash and be made well?" The child replied, "I need not haste. The blessings of my Father in the sky are not measured in tiny cups. They never fail. Their virtues are the same forevermore. When these whose faith is weak and who must haste to wash for fear their faith will fail have all been cured, these waters will be just as powerful for me. Then I can go and stay a long, long time within the blessed waters of the spring." And Jesus said, "Behold, a master soul. She came to earth to teach the men the power of faith." And then he lifted up the child and said, "Why wait for anything? The very air we breathe is filled with the balm of life. Breathe in this balm of life in faith and be made whole." The child breathed in the balm of life and faith, and she was well. The people marveled such at what they heard and saw. They said, "This man must surely be the God of health made flesh." And Jesus said, "The fount of life is not a little pool. It is as wide as are the spaces of heaven. The waters of the fount are love. The potency is faith. And he who plunges deep into the living springs in living faith may wash away his guilt and be made whole and freed from sin." Wow. So I've just been reminded as to why I do so much love this book. The story of, the second story of Jesus and Aegenon, I had forgotten. And, I see that I highlighted it when I originally read it, but it's been a while and I had completely missed that part. But I love that he teaches him, the secret doctrine of forgiveness and the blotting out of sins. And the controlling the spirits of the air, the fire, the water, and the earth. And then the talk about prodigies, because I think we have that, we have the awe of the young when someone comes in and they're relatively young and they have such a wise perspective and, capture our attention. We think, oh, they're so special and oh, to be young again. And no, it's like they've been practiced over many thousands of years of incarnation, and we each have that gift, and they're coming back to work out another sum on something else that is part of their development, just as we are. So again, another reason why we should not compare ourselves to each other. But I digress. All things result from the natural law. And he says we're not rich by what we get and hold, we're rich by what we give away in service. Or the only things that we keep are those we give away. I love that. And then, oh my God, in this meeting with the sages, or not with sages, yes, but with the three wise men, that's as, you've got to, that's as exciting and blessed as when, Jesus, John, Mary, Elizabeth, Joseph, when they meet again with Elihu and Salome, right, after all those years. And yeah, he's made this trip. He's had all these experiences in teaching and healing, and he's coming back and he's meeting the people who blessed him at his birth. It's just such a beautiful, wow. It's just such a beautiful experience. Um, yeah. Huh. Yeah, and so they are preparing the space, right? Um, the laws and the precepts of the coming age required all the wisdom of the masters of the world. And I love that line about, the Magi knew um, by ways that masters always know. Oh my goodness, that's a good one. Um, wow. Pardon me. There was just so much in this section. Um, yeah. Oh, and I love, okay, so this is where we get the definition of evil, the inharmonious mixtures of things inherently good. And I think sometimes, when we are tempted, so going back to the idea that we compare, ourselves to other people, um, we look at things and we judge them good or bad, right? And then we act accordingly towards them. And well, what we focus on expands, and that is true always, all the time, but we tend to focus on the bad because that's the easiest and it takes us away from having to do the real work, right? So, or we just get confused and lost for a moment. So whatever. So we focus on the evil, or we focus on this thing that we've determined is bad, and given it more power because what you focus on expands, and then it becomes this overshadowing thing, and that's where it says, man makes his devil dust. And so rather than see things or experiences or, interactions or whatever it might be and term them good or evil or good or bad, where you're tempted to say that it's bad, stop for a moment and say, you know what? No, that's information, right? Information is neutral and it gives you choice and opportunity. So, I'm sure you are all familiar with the story of the, and I don't know if I'll get this right because I haven't heard it in a long time and it's been a while, but it's a Chinese village, I guess, and a father is given a horse, and the son is like, "Oh, this is good," and he's like, "Maybe, maybe not," and then the father, or then the horse kills the son, and the villagers say, "Oh, this is such a bad thing," and he's like, "Maybe, maybe not," and then something else happens, and someone else takes care of him, and they're like, "Oh, it's good." The idea, and I hate that I can't remember it totally, but you get the idea that these things that we think initially are bad, we don't know what the next step outcome is going to be, and the way that is an opening for our blessings. Lessons teach us. Lessons have an opportunity to bless us, right? So, not to term this thing that we think is a bad situation. Not to term it negatively, accept it as information, and then it's just information, you can use it or not accordingly, right? So yeah, I really, evil, the inharmonious of things inherently good. Let's not term things, one, let's not create evil. And two, let's just, instead of calling them negative, let's call it information and see what opportunities and possibilities present themselves. Quick, cute story about evil. I taught Sunday school for kids, and I taught this lesson on evil with, like, I think they were 7 to 11. And so what we did was I got a blender, and I took different fruits, right? So we actually, I think we also combined it with the chakras. So we had the different colored fruits from the different chakras. But when we got to the throat, right, the throat is blue, and maybe we use blueberries, but I think we might have also used like ginger or garlic, something clarifying, because we want to clear or speak with a clear voice. But anyway, so we're going through, so maybe we've got like, strawberries, oranges, a piece of pineapple, some spinach, because spinach is great, but I mean, so we had spinach, and then maybe ginger or garlic for the throat, and then maybe blueberries for or beets or something for the brow, and then something purple would have been maybe like, I don't know, maybe that's where I use the blueberries, or I don't know, whatever. So it would have been something, dark purple. Anyway, all of those things in and of themselves, they're all fantastic, right? Put them all in a blender, and well, I'm not so sure. And so we mix it with the kids, and then ask them if they wanted to drink it. And evil didn't taste quite so bad. It was kind of like a green fruit smoothie, but it wasn't good. It wasn't something, it wasn't your strawberry, pineapple, banana, fun. It was something a little bit different. But yes, that was a way to teach them the idea of evil. All of these things by themselves are great, but maybe we don't mix them all together, right? And then men carry with them all the time the secret place where they can meet their God. It's within. And that whole section, that is just so beautiful. There is a silence where the soul may meet its God, and where the fount of wisdom is, and all who enter are immersed in light and filled with wisdom and love and power. And I'm like, I want to dwell there. And as you read further, the Magi that he's talking to is like, how can I get? Is there room for me? So yeah, I love that. And then of course in the silence, like this was a lesson on how to meditate. And like point of fact, I have not done my personal daily meditation for today. I just really wanted to get to this first. And yeah, like I'm going to reread that section when I go sit and meditate, because that is a primer on how to do it. Phantom forms may flit before the mind, but it is the will that has to still them. A master soul will speak to them and they are gone. And so, yeah, your mind's going to monkey around for a little bit, but you have to just have it be quiet, and, you are in the silence. And then he goes into the flame. And you'll see upon the shrine the candle of the Lord a flame. And I thought, well, isn't it interesting? Because, when I do our opening meditations, I'm pulling that from spirit and what, I need, what I think we need, or whatever. And I have never in the number of times that I've led this, opening meditations, thought to look at the flame within. But how appreciative was that for today's reading, where we come back to the holy flame. So we were going to get that lesson today for sure. And it's like within the secret place, there is the holiest of holies. There is the Ark of the Covenant where all wisdom is written. There's the manna, the hidden bread of life. That was just a beautiful section. Man, oh man. And then we end with the healing fount. And I love how, he's asking them, why would your God be so stingy to only trouble the fountain with healing waters, for just these few hours, right? I mean, if God is God, omnipotent and omnipresent, why couldn't healing be available all the time, everywhere present? And so he reminds them that it's not the waters, right? It is your faith that is your fount of healing. And then the beauty of the child, right? Who has the forethought to sit and wait, because everybody else's faith is going to run out. So they have to run, right? They have to get in while the getting's good. But she trusts that if her faith is constant, then the healing will be there when there is the opportunity for her to go. And Jesus points out that yes, that's true, but because the healing power is in faith, that's in the very air we breathe. So, or it could be. So let's just breathe that in now together. And so, yeah, the very air we breathe is the balm of life. And that's just a point of focus, right? And why sometimes it's good to just take a moment and step back from the daily care, the daily grind, and touch in with spirit, check in with your flame, feel yourself surrounded by light, breathe in the breath of life, not just, not giving conscious thought to the breath, but consciously breathe in the breath of life, breathe in healing, breathe in wisdom, breathe in faith, for a life it would sound like just well lived. I know I am certainly feeling it. So, yeah. Let us take this out into the week. This was a good one. This was a good one. I've enjoyed it. We will see you again here next Sunday. Love you in the meantime. Bye.